Hey, what's up guys? So welcome indeed to the new Barbarian build. This is going to be the Horde of the 90 Savages set. This is the new set for Barbarian in Season 20. So let's go ahead and really quickly go over what the heck this set is all about, and then we're going to go ahead and do some gameplay, and then I'll go in depth and explain what is the best build for Barbarian coming up for Season 20 utilizing this new set. So first off, as far as the set goes, it's actually all about Frenzy. So the Horde of 90 Savages with the 2-piece bonus, you're going to be able to double the effectiveness of shouts. Feared enemies also take double damage. With a 4-piece bonus, each Frenzy stack reduces damage taken by 5%, and with a 6-piece bonus, Frenzy deals 1,000 increased damage per stack. Now we have some multipliers with Frenzy over here. We have the Oathkeeper, which is going to make it so your primary skills, which Frenzy is, attacks faster and will deal up to 200% bonus damage. You also have inside of the Kanai's cube, the Bastions Reverted. So this is going to make it so Frenzy now stacks up to 10 times and hits an additional time per stack. Each additional hit will chain to any enemies within 15 yards, and the damage is split between all the affected enemies. And then we also have another multiplier here with the Death Diggers, and that's going to apply a bonus of 100% additional damage. Now, keep in mind that it does have that bonus with shouts. Most people aren't actually utilizing the shouts because you usually don't want to actually run into the situation where you have to actually proc it on every single enemy. So what people opted to pretty much do is utilize Echoing Fury. There is one shout that I will go over when we go in depth as far as the build goes for the best build and what you guys should kind of utilize to optimize. But for the most part, people aren't actually really utilizing the fear. They're just using the proc chance that Echoing Fury has. But anyways, let's go ahead and hop right into what would be the equivalent of a Torment 16, and this will maybe give you guys kind of an idea on how this build plays. It's a very fast attacking build, and I've optimized this one to be more of a speed build. So what you really need to do is just make sure that you have your maximum stacks of Frenzy, which is 10. So as soon as you go in, go ahead and activate your buffs. Make sure you have something to proc your Band of Might, and you'll pretty much just face roll most of the content. We just need that Bloodshed to be activated, and that's what's killing all the enemies without me even requiring to attack them. They're just melting before I even need to do anything. The build's very easy to play, and there's not much maintenance on it unless you really want to try to utilize the shout. The shout is usually just for GR 100 pluses. For the most part, you should be able to clear out most content pretty easy with this new build. However, I do want to mention that currently the strongest Barbarian builds are still going to be Whirlwind, but I will give you guys the best build for this one over here. So we'll finish up the rift so you guys can kind of get an idea on how fast you can clear things out. But it's a very easy one to play, and on top of that, a lot of these new builds like the Hydra and even this one, you run into the situation where most of the Rift Guardians can absolutely just melt to the build, and that's simply because it's just hitting so many dang times, and you're seeing just a lot of enemies pop instantly at once. There isn't really too much mobility with this. I mean, you do have Furious Charge, but comparing to the speed of the Hydra Wizard, I think that that one will just outclass it. In fact, the Hydra Wizard is actually outperforming a lot of the other classes right now. And if you guys haven't seen that video, I also recently uploaded it. I'll pin all of the new builds down below in the comment section below. And if you are new here and you do want to see all of them, there's also the Witch Doctor one, which we'll be covering as well. Hit subscribe, and you'll definitely see all of the builds very soon. And I also plan to go ahead and make a video, even though it's the PTR, to kind of go over what is the best build currently that's using any of the 3 newest sets coming into Season 20. Which, as right now, I would say it's undisputed the Wizard, but keep in mind sometimes things change. They buff and nerf things all the times, and that can change, you know, what becomes more viable. But I really like the transmog for this Frenzy set. But yeah, you're pretty much just holding down Frenzy the whole time, and most of the things are just melting. You'll see the attack speed just goes up like crazy, and when the Rift Guardian comes out, they just instantly melt because all you need to do is proc that fear chance on them once, and because you're attacking so fast, you don't need to worry about actually shouting to make them feared. A lot of people are utilizing it to take reduced damage. We won't take the shield pylon just because I want to show you how tanky this build is. And I have very subpar gear. Don't even have all 3 gems in. This is no augments, no primals. It's a fairly easy build to get up and running. And that's because it attacks so fast if you were to run anything that would actually give you any life on hit, it actually would be pretty decent in this build. But you can see you can basically perma-freeze a lot of the enemies, and that really just comes down to the attack speed that you have. If you have any stun on hit or anything on hit, you can actually have a very high chance to activate it because you'll be attacking so dang fast over here. Because with one of the abilities over here, you're going to be able to throw a piercing axe into enemies. You're also going to like kind of slow them down. And then on top of that, you have smite, which can stun all of the enemies for 1.5 seconds. And that's how you're basically able to stun lock a lot of the higher level enemies in the game, basically the elites. You're just attacking so dang fast that it just doesn't really matter for the most part. But anyways, let's go ahead and go over the build. Some of my stuff isn't properly optimized because I'm kind of running through all of the classes here for this new PTR here. So currently, still the best build for Barbarian is going to be Whirlwind, but it's not that far behind. There's only really one player that's really pushed towards like the higher end of things, utilizing the new Horde of the 90 Savages. Now, one thing I do want to mention that you'll see in almost every single build, with the exception of the guy right now that's this guy is currently rank 1 with this build, as in like he's not rank 1 overall in Barbarian, but this is the #1 Horde of the 90 Savages build. So just like most builds, you'll see a lot of people use the diamonds for extra damage reduction, for extra all resistances. But in addition to that, instead of running Messerschmitts to be able to keep up your Wrath of the Berserker up 100% of the time, he's opted just to get cooldown on majority pieces of his gear. And then through that, he's able to go ahead and remove Messerschmitts, because with the new Season 20, you have the ability to go and throw Messerschmitts in addition to Bastion's Revered. So this one will 100% be in every single build of the Horde of the 90 Savages inside of the cube because it's a two-handed weapon. But you can go ahead and actually opt out of putting Messerschmitts and instead throw a Convention of Elements, which is pretty much a majority of the highest Greater Rift pushing builds. In addition to that, there's also another amulet choice that I've seen people swap in and out. Again, this will require a little bit of RNG, but the Flavor of Time, being able to have those pylons for more duration, is going to be definitely ideal as well. But anyways, as far as the build goes, every single build is going to be pretty much utilizing the 6-piece set. I haven't really seen anyone run the Royal Ring of Grandeur and try to mix in like the Captain set. The reason why is because you need the belt as well. So the bonuses that you're getting with Frenzy really come down to this activating that chance to fear on hit. Having a primal Echoing Fury actually is huge here, because the secondary, where it has the chance to fear on hit, can actually be better than the rest of the stats, because again, you're dealing double damage with the Horde of 90 Savages here. So pretty much everyone's running the 6-piece. Then you've got the Echoing Fury and the Oathkeeper. These are going to be your two go-to weapon slots, and then you're going to have to put this one in the cube because it is a two-hander. And then also Messerschmitt is a great option, and Depth Diggers. But instead of equipping Band of Might, he is equipping the Convention of Elements to, again, meet those thresholds on bonus damage. But in addition to that, it's because he has enough cooldown to maintain the Wrath of the Berserker, which is why you see people use Messerschmitts, because you can't use the Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac. But as far as the gem goes, it's pretty much going to be the go-to to have Simplicity Strength. This is going to be a huge extra bonus damage to your primary skills, which Frenzy is, because this is a Frenzy build. You also happen to have the Bane of the Trap, which is pretty much in majority of builds as well. And then because you attack so fast, Bane of the Stricken is actually fantastic for this build, because if you keep on attacking the same enemy, you're going to be dealing more and more damage. And because it attacks so dang fast, it's excellent for this build. For the bracers, it's pretty much going to be the same bracers that I think we'll see in every single Barbarian build going forward. Mortix brace, because now this was a change in Season 19, where Wrath of the Berserker gains the effect of every rune, so this is going to be our go-to one. As far as what element you want, you don't really need to choose a certain one, because you will be getting the effect of every rune with the Undisputed Champion. This is a belt that will increase Frenzy's damage, and it will give it every single rune. So just pick which, equip whatever Frenzy one that you have your bonus elemental damage. In this case, he uses Fire, so go ahead and run Fire. Although with Battle Rage Bloodshed, which I'll kind of go over these abilities in a second with more of a description, but the reason why is because Bloodshed over here hits for physical, which makes it so You deal damage equal to 20% of your recent critical hits to enemies within 20 yards. It's not the biggest deal to not have this on the correct element, but usually people would prefer physical, but I just want to go ahead and mention that as a heads up because it hits for physical or whatever you decide to go for. It can increase your DPS a little bit, but for the most part, it's just used to clear out trash, so it's not that big of a deal if you don't happen to go ahead and grab that. But as far as the build goes, there's also the Traveler's Pledge. Like I mentioned before, you can run the Flavor of Time. That's also a popular alternative if you want to go ahead and run that. And then you have an extra free ring slot. If you go ahead and run Unity, you'll have that damage reduction already there at 50%, but this is more for, I guess, solo pushings. Again, nothing too important to mention as far as the build goes because it's all the 6-piece set. However, I do want to mention the bonus damage that you'll be getting with Frenzy will come from your belt as well as your pants. A lot of times it's going to be the boots or the helmet. Sometimes it's the shoulders, but ideally if you can get area damage, it's okay. It does also split the damage anyways, but because you're hitting everything, it really adds a lot more damage to any of the Rift Guardians that would spawn any additional adds. So it's great to have area damage for this, but this is what he's running, Frenzy. Again, the rune doesn't matter. It's just whatever element that you happen to have. You definitely want Bloodshed. This really helps out with a lot of the trash that you'll be clearing out. He's running Furious Charge, Merciless Assault. If you are going for a speed build, I happen to be running the Dreadnought. Just gives me extra charges. But if you happen to hit enough enemies, this can help out as well. It depends on your cooldown thresholds because you can spam it pretty much all day. It has charge barbs to go ahead and do. But, and then on top of that, we have Threatening Shout, Demoralize. So originally on the very first day, a lot of people were kind of testing out what can work with it. And so because I'm running a speed build, I'm running Sprint Marathon, but this is the area that you would actually change this skill. This usually comes down to Threatening Shout. I've seen people originally try Terrify. This causes them to flee in fear, but it's just faster if you just have it auto proc, so you don't even have to manage it. But Demoralize forces them to attack you. I've seen a lot of people try out other things to make it so they will take increased damage because remember your Threatening Shout will also be getting a bonus because the 2-piece bonus doubles the effectiveness of the shout in the first place. So it can kind of be okay, but for the most part, it's just not that useful unless it's like a very specific boss that's taking a long time, and pretty much you can melt most Rift Guardians, but that'd be the only time that you would actually really need to kind of utilize to get any bonus damage. Then we're running Veteran's Warning. It just gives you a lot more survivability with the Warcry, and then Wrath of the Berserker. Choose whatever color that you like the most because you're going to be getting the effect of every rune anyways. We have Ruthless, we have Nerves of Steel, Berserker Rage, and the Boon of Bolkathos. The reason why a lot of people aren't opt to playing the passive Rampage, as you'll see from a lot of the different builds that are on the leaderboards, is because you can go through pretty much the entirety of the Rift with no problem, with the exception of like the Rift Guardian, and Rampage usually goes away. But if you're doing speed builds, Rampage is excellent, gives you a lot more damage. And then instead of the Nerves of Steel, which gives you that second chance if you would actually die, it prevents you from dying, I went ahead and added Superstition. I just kind of like it more than the Nerves of Steel, but for the most part it doesn't really matter. Just one defensive one, and then pretty much Berserker Rage, Ruthless are really popular, and then if you don't meet the cooldown thresholds, Boon of Bolkathos is an excellent one, and if you're just doing speed, I think Rampage is overall really great as well. I've seen some speed builds also use Pound of Flesh because it technically gives increased movement speed as well, so this can be an option as well if you want to go ahead and utilize some speed into your build. But as far as that goes, that's pretty much it. And as far as the cube goes, most people, because you won't meet the cooldowns at the very beginning, this is going to be your go-to things in the Kanai's cube, which is Depth Diggers, Measureschmitts. Again, this is basically for your Wrath of the Berserker to keep it up 100% of the time, and then Bastion's Revert, and then pretty much my build is very similar, although I just don't happen to have the perfect rolls on every single thing. I'm still missing the socket in my amulet, but there it is. There is the best build for Barbarian utilizing the new set. Now, going forward after the PTR, I think that we might see a small little buff in some type of department, maybe a different multiplier to just increase the damage just a little bit, because again, if we look at the leaderboards, it's pretty much just Whirlwind. if you look at it, there's another 90 Savages over there. Okay, cool. This one might have actually just happened since the recording, but I was checking out all the best builds, and they're pretty much exactly the same as far as what people are running. By the way, if you want a good tip, if you are playing on the PTR and you want to get your higher level diamonds, you can get the emeralds from grabbing the newer items. That it'll give you the max level emerald, and you can go ahead and go to Act 2 and buy the convert, and you'll get the max level gems. So you can convert the emeralds into diamonds or whatever one that you want to. It's just a quick little tip for you guys, but it's pretty much a lot of people are just trying to max out on that cooldown. Interestingly enough, this guy is using Zodiac, which oh, he's actually running Whirlwind with this set? That's a very interesting build. I have no idea what's going on with this build, but sometimes people get the luckiest pylons, and they end up getting on top of the leaderboard, but this makes absolutely no sense for the build. But again, PTR, sometimes things do happen. And I'll update you guys if there's any new change, but I'd say the go-to build is pretty much this guy's, okay? The other guy, we'll just say he got lucky Kappa, but anyways, that's going to be the best build for the Horde of the 90 Savages. But if you look at the leaderboard, there's going to be so many whirlwinds for the most part, and I think that this build might receive some small buff. But you guys can let me know what you think of this build down below in the comment section below. Are you guys happy with the playstyle? Do you guys think it should be better in any way? Let me know. I think that it could, like I said, get a little bit of a buff over here because it's a little bit slower than Whirlwind, and Whirlwind is just... it's one of those fan favorites, and I think a lot of people will be just more inclined to play Whirlwind even in Season 20. But of course, this is new content, so I'm here to deliver it for you guys. If you guys haven't seen the Wizard build, that one's already uploaded, but the Witch Doctor one will be coming out very soon. So if you are new here and you do want to see all of the new builds for Season 20, I'll be uploading all of them. And if you want to see them, subscribe, turn that bell, and you'll see them very soon. But thanks for tuning in, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and if you did, drop a like on it, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Have a good one, and I'm signing out. Peace.